follow the script, play your part, stick to the plan. We are so back. Internet, I had so much fun compiling all of the previous rogue votes that I felt obligated to just come back as soon as possible for more. If you haven't seen part 1 of this series, check it out. It's pretty wild. Otherwise, here are 5 more ridiculous rogue votes cast on Survivor. Now, I'm not saying this first rogue vote had anything to do with a kilo of cocaine washing up on the shores of Panama during Season 12 Exile Island, but given who cast the rogue vote and who they cast it against, I can't entirely rule out that it played a part. Let's finally talk about how Shane cast a rogue vote against Aris in episode 5, one of the wackier votes of the season, which is saying something, a vote where Bob Dog and Bruce drank a bunch of wine in an outhouse and became the targets, and so the other 5 players bickered amongst themselves who of the drunken duo to take out first, Bruce or Bobby. They're both drunk as a skunk, and if there's anything I've learned about watching reality TV, it's that the contestants are very fickle about who gets to drink what. Shane wanted to vote out Bobby, but Aris wanted to vote out Bruce, and ultimately Shane conceded to Aris's plan to take out Bruce first. In Shane's defeat, he decided to buddy up to Bobby, figuring Bobby was going to be staying in the game a little longer, and he did this by threatening Bobby to not flip at the merge. This entire post-immunity strategy scene is absurd. Shane tells Bobby he was almost going to get voted out, but the vote is now on Bruce. Bobby is gonna survive. Mind you, Shane was the guy pushing for Bobby to go, but then Shane demands Bobby swear on Shane's child to not flip at the merge. Bobby says he won't do that, but in the same breath, Shane reiterates he wants him to swear on Shane's kid, and instantly Bobby says, okay, fine, yeah, he swears on another man's child. Meanwhile, the women of the tribe come together and actually do want Bobby to go. They don't want Aris to get too much power, so they tell Shane that the vote is now Bobby. And Shane loses it. He just swore on his own kid, and he got Bobby to as well, that he wouldn't vote Bobby out. What the hell, Courtney? For whatever reason, it's Courtney's fault. So the vote is supposed to be 4-2-1, with Aris and Bobby voting Bruce, and then Bruce kind of just doing whatever he wants because who cares about looping in the odd man out? The guy you don't want to flip come the merge. Make sure he doesn't feel included. But then, out of the blue, Aris gets a vote, making it 3-2-1-1. 4 out of the 7 players get votes. And this happens because Shane decides he can't go back on his word and vote Bobby out. Despite leading the charge to get Bobby out, despite pushing for Bobby to go all afternoon. And so he's just gonna vote for Aris. He casts a rogue vote for Aris to preserve the honor of a handshake that he forced upon himself, and the rest is history.
You guys can swear on my kid.
Yeah.
Swear on my kid.
Yeah, I don't want to swear on your kid, but yeah.
Swear on my kid.
I'll swear on your kid.
I can't vote him off. I swore on my kid that he was the 6th. I can't. Well, why didn't you tell me that an hour ago, Courtney? I told everybody initially that Bobby should go, and then they all freaked out and said nothing. And they're like women, you know what I mean? And now I got them. Now they're going back to Bobby. So it's like, you know, who knows? This is a throwaway vote. It doesn't mean anything. I'm trying to make my vote go away.
Okay, so this next rogue vote is perhaps the most cowardly vote ever cast in Survivor, and maybe that needs to be another video series in the future. Because in Season 20, Heroes vs. Villains, let me tell ya, the Tocantins men of Tyson, JT, and Coach really leave a lot to be desired. Tyson votes himself out with a wonky rogue vote, JT gives the enemy his idol and has it used against him, and then we get Coach, who decides in episode 7 that, in the middle of a war between Boston Rob and Russell, instead of picking a side and attempting to cut losses, he does the opposite. He gets this bright idea to not work with either of them and instead tries to bring them together, because that was going to happen after the Tyson vote. This rogue vote is basically a follow-up to the first video with Tyson's vote, because Rob desperately needs Coach to vote with him to at least force a tie. Meanwhile, Russell has 4 votes in a tribe of 8 and wants Coach to vote with him against Rob to secure the numbers 5-3. What is a Coach to do? Coach is stuck in the middle, unsure where to go, and all he wants to do is just bury the hatchet or bury his head in the sand, bro down with his two best buddies who are feuding and move forward as one unit. With two opposing battle plans set out before him, either vote for Rob and work with Russell or vote for Russell and work with Rob, Coach casts a rogue vote for neither. He votes for Courtney. What the hell, Courtney? Because she's weak in challenges. Coach plays his own game, marches to the beat of his own drum, and in the process inadvertently gets Rob voted out. Had Coach not gone rogue, perhaps we would get a juicy tie and rock draw, but no, we don't get the Dragon Slayer, we get the Cowardly Lion.
You have my word, I'm voting for Russell. I have yours?
Yep.
Okay. You're saying that you're giving your word and that you're the most loyal? You better do what you say you do, or let it be known that you're a liar. I feel like the right thing to do is Courtney. It's going to make our tribe stronger, dude. I feel like the right thing to do is Courtney.
Rob is like the biggest threat right now.
If you give me your word, I'll believe you.
I'm with you guys 100%. I can't go back on my word. I mean, I just gave those guys my word because Russell crammed it down our throats and Jerry's being gullible and just saying, okay, whatever, and then I'm sitting there like a fish out of water. What am I going to do?
Tied again. 3 votes Rob, 3 votes Russell. Courtney, 8th person, voted out as survivor, heroes versus villains.
You're a little man.
This third rogue vote is one of my favorite overall votes in the entire series of Survivor. I'm not even being hyperbolic, it inspired me to make my first video ever on my channel back in 2017, and I'm basically trying to find any excuse to keep talking about it after all these years. Season 29, San Juan del Sur, the final 5. One of the flashiest moves ever made by a winner. She made an appearance in the first Rogue Votes video, and she's back again because Natalie Anderson goes rogue at the top of the finale and blindsides her closest ally, Baylor, with an idol play and a random vote that sent shockwaves through the community. Basically, this final 5 had an alliance of 3, Natalie, Missy, and Baylor, against 2 players on the bottom, Keith and Jacqueline. Keith won immunity, so the vote was going to be a simple 4-1 against Jacqueline. The plan was simple. As long as everyone sticks to it, nothing should go wrong. Not even Keith could mess this one up. The players go up to vote, Jeff then asks if anyone wants to play an idol, and Natalie stands up. But everyone knew that Natalie had an idol, so this wasn't too shocking. The final 5 was the last time it could be played. Natalie goes up to Jeff, turns around, and asks Jacqueline if she voted for who Nat asked her to vote for. Jack says she did. And so Nat plays her idol on Jack, and everyone is floored. As it turns out, Natalie wanted Jacqueline with her in the final 4 to separate the mother-daughter Missy and Baylor duo. And this alternate plan was just how she planned to get there. Natalie invalidated 3 votes against Jacqueline and instead voted for Baylor, sending Baylor to the jury. An insane rogue vote that went against the majority's plans, saved the underdog, and was a baller move that helped secure Natalie the $1 million.
Jacqueline, did you vote for who I told you to vote for? I'm thinking this for Jack.
Okay? Jacqueline, does not count. Jacqueline, does not count. Jacqueline, does not count. 13th person voted out and the 7th member of our jury, Baylor. Need to bring me your torch?
That was a really good blindside. I'm not mad at Natalie. That was a really good move.
This 4th rogue vote comes from one of the most strategic seasons in Survivor, season 31, Cambodia. An all-star cast where everyone was playing like it was their second time. At the final 9, we had a very loose majority trust cluster alliance of 6 against a minority ragtag group of 3. Kelly, Keith, and Abby were at the bottom, but the majority wanted to take out Joe. Because, for the first time all season, literally in 29 days of playing Survivor, Joe was actually able to be voted out at this next tribal council. He was immune the entire pre-merge and had yet to lose an individual immunity. Until now. Joe was exposed, he was way too big of a threat to leave unchecked, so the plan was simple. Vote Joe out. But then it got complicated, because everyone feared Joe had an idol, and if he did, he was gonna play it. So they had to split the votes, and they chose to do it between Joe and Abby. Steven had a steal vote advantage and wanted to use it against Joe, to have Joe vote for himself. This would mean the majority group could have 3 votes on Joe, 3 on Abby, and if Joe played an idol, boom, Abby goes, and if not, well, then they revote and Joe goes. Kinda sounds pretty similar to the Russell, Tyson, and Parvati one from the previous video. Meanwhile, the minority 3 couldn't do anything about it. It kinda needs to be said that this post-merge was really messy and complicated. All 4 votes prior to this next one were either blindsides or flashy idol plays, and so a split vote advantage play to take out the challenge beast was actually the least interesting one yet. And then that changed, because Spencer, the young lad, had a different idea. Instead of working with Steven to take out Joe, Spencer decided to go rogue against the Alliance and take Steven out and flush his advantage at the same time. Spencer rallied Kelly, Keith, and Abby to vote for Steven, and then Spencer flipped on Steven too, meaning when Steven used his advantage to split the vote, he ended up creating an opening that enabled a dashing rogue to get cheeky, brandish a blade, and wedge it in between all those votes right into Steven's back. Spencer cast a rogue vote against his allies, and Steven was voted out 4-3-2.
I think it makes sense to get rid of Fishback because he has an advantage.
Okay.
That's it. Right. And there's no need to even
No
need to even question anything else.
The plan is Abby is voting for Joe and Joe is voting for Abby. But Abby is insane.
Abby is on the warpath, and I'm scared that Abby's gonna react, vote for Joe, and this entire plan is going to go down the tube.
I have the numbers to split the votes reliably. Either we lose Joe or we lose Abby and Joe's idol. If Joe has an idol.
Even though I've done everything right to put what I want to happen into place, it could all go to crap.
And whose vote are you going to steal?
I'm going to steal Joe's vote.
And with Joe's vote, Joe will be voting for Joe.
3 votes Fishback, 3 votes Abby, 2 votes Joe, 1 vote left. 11th person voted out and the 5th member of our jury.
This final rogue vote is one for the ages. It is a vote that I wish more players would attempt to pull off, because it not only saved this player's butt, but it also nearly won them the game had it occurred on just about any season prior. I am talking about season 35, Heroes versus Healers versus Hustlers, with Devin's vote at the final 5 to mitigate a third potential Ben bomb going off. Yeah, Ben was dropping a lot of bombs this season, starting at the final 7, then at the final 6, and now they were at the final 5, the last time an idol could be played. Ben had just played 2, so what's to stop him from making it a hat trick? The first time he did it, he was able to cast the sole vote to send someone to the jury. Luckily for Devin, it wasn't him. At the final 6, weirdly enough, Ben was allowed to play his idol before the votes were even cast. That's not how it's supposed to work, Jeff. Although, no doubt, he was going to cop some more votes too. At the final 5, Devin was working with Ryan and Chrissy. That was their ideal final 3, and they wanted Ben out badly. Ben did not win immunity, so the plan was to vote for Ben. Just dump all the votes on him and hope he's out of bombs. But Devin also knew that he was likely Ben's biggest threat to win, which was true. And what happens if Ben just so happens to, play a third idol? Who does Ben vote for then? Alright, a real head scratcher here. Instead of making it a 4-1 vote, Devin went off script and cast a rogue vote for Mike, the 5th man in the final 5, just in case the other 3 votes all got negated. And guess what? Devin wasn't insane. He wasn't doing the same thing over and over again expecting different results. And yeah, Ben played an idol. He dropped the bomb, negated 3 votes, and then Ben also voted for Devin. Meaning, had Devin stuck to that plan and voted for Ben, Devin was going to be voted out in a 1-0 vote. But Devin didn't vote for Ben, he voted for Mike, meaning it was a 1-1 vote, meaning a revote had to happen, meaning Chrissy and Ryan could vote out Mike, and Devin was safe. Devin made an absolute clutch, fantastic rogue vote to protect himself, and it paid off. And I've done the math, I've read the postseason interviews, I've actually directly DM'd some of these jurors, and if it weren't for the random fire-making twist at the final 4, he is almost certainly a Survivor champion.
I want to believe that there's no more idols. I mean, for Ben to find another one would be crazy, but maybe if I vote Mike, it's kind of providing me with a little safety net.
Jim.
This guy's insane.
Any votes cast for Ben will not count. Ben does not count. Ben does not count. Ben does not count. Dr. Mike, 1 vote Dr. Mike, 1 vote left. Devin.
Now your faith is in those two.
Yeah, it is.
14th person voted out and the 7th member of our jury. Mike.
If I didn't write down Doc's name, I would be out of the game. I'm still sitting here alive, so I potentially did make $1 million move right there.
And those are 5 more moments of rogue votes in Survivor. And I could one day talk about even more of them if you want me to, but either way, let me know what you think about these 5 and any others you can think of that deserve a mention. A big thanks to my patrons for sticking to the script and not going rogue on me just yet. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to never go back on the honor of a handshake on your way out, and I will see you in the next one. Once I mess up Bruce's rock garden. Bruce, I swear it wasn't me, it was the brick.
And I looked down, and at my feet is a square like this of tape. It was a brick. It looked like a brick of tape. You know, I've seen some movies. And I looked at ours and I was like, holy shit, dude, this is a fucking key of coke. 2.2 pounds of cocaine. The segment producer was like, listen, man, I don't know if this is good or bad for the show, but Shane has found a brick of cocaine. I was thinking about what we could do to use the cocaine. I know that the production had a mighty fine season.